The Social Security Administration would have to increase Social Security and disability benefits by $370 per person per senior in order to catch seniors up to what they have lost in earnings due to inflation over Social Security and disability benefit. That is according to a reputable organization that supports and advocates for seniors. It did the math and realized that seniors have lost at least $370, and that is what Congress needs to put back into seniors' pocket if you are to be made whole. The second thing I'm going to talk about today is that Americans that are paying into Social Security will have to pay an extra $110,000 in order to prop up Social Security to avoid the impending cuts to Social Security that are coming in 2033. I'm also going to talk about the Social Security payment schedule for August, when you can expect your Social Security check. And there's other news I have. There's so much to cover today. So stay with me till the end. We're going to have an hour together. There's so much news right now about Social Security that I want to bring to your attention. My name is Kwame Kwade. I am a government benefits expert. I have been helping seniors get the retirement benefit they deserve for 15 years and counting. I create content on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and any other personal finance issue that affects seniors both in and out of Congress. If you are new to this channel, welcome. I am glad you're here. And I want you to do me a favor, go into the comment section, let me know your city and your state, because I like to know where you guys are watching this broadcast from. And if you've been watching this channel for a long time, I really appreciate your support. Welcome back. So there's a lot to unpack today. Some of them also came from questions that you asked me from yesterday's live. And so I'm ready. I did the research and I'm about to answer them for you. But let's get to the biggest news of all, which is the $370 that Congress owes seniors right now in order to make you whole based on what you've lost in your purchasing power because of inflation that has gone up and stayed up over the last couple of years. So that is the first thing I want to talk about today. So I am going to share my screen and talk about this Senior Citizens League recommendation that Congress should pass a bill giving seniors a $370 increase in Social Security and disability benefits. I started this yesterday. I did some more research, so I want to highlight this to you. So where is this all coming from? Well, this came from the fact that the Senior Citizens League is reporting that inflation is up, and so Social Security cost of living adjustment for 2026 will have to go up. So they give their first estimate. This is something that they usually do around the summer. They will give you an estimate of what they think your cost of living adjustment is going to be. So they said it was going to be about 2.7%. Right now, that's what they're estimating. We're going to know the final number in October. That is when the Social Security Administration is going to give you the final number of what your COLA is going to be. But another thing the Senior Citizens League does, which is a nonpartisan group and advocacy group for seniors, is that they also look at how cost of living adjustment is impacting seniors. Specifically, is the government doing right by you? Whenever they release the cost of living adjustment, are you getting what you deserve? And so they've been doing the math and they've realized that over the last couple of years, seniors have lost a lot of purchasing power because Social Security cost of living adjustment has not caught up to inflation. And so they came out with a number based on their calculation that if Congress wants to make seniors whole, they would have to give seniors a $360, $70 increase. And I'm going to show you that right here. So this is just trying to give you what you've lost in purchasing power. So let me read that to you. It is saying that even without considering premium increases, this amount is far below what is needed to maintain the purchasing power and falls significantly short of covering the rising cost of older adults. So what they're saying is that the 2.7% that they are estimating is significantly lower than what seniors really need to be able to deal with inflation. So that is what they are trying to say. And then they went on to say that a study by the Senior Citizens League shows retirees would need an extra $370 per month just to match the buying power they had back in 2010. So essentially, if you look at the purchasing power and what seniors have lost in with Social Security benefit not catching up into inflation since 2010, you need $370 to catch up. So what does that mean for you right now? Well, there is opportunity, and if you've been watching my channel, I've talked about legislation that Congress need to pass in order to make seniors whole. And one of them is a Social Security increase that is part of the Social Security Expansion Act. Well, that number has just gone up because the Social Security Expansion Act, as it stands today in Congress, is supposed to give you a $200 increase in your monthly benefits, both Social Security and disability benefits. But according to the Senior Citizens League, that is not enough. They have to bump that number to $370 if you were to be made whole from what you have lost. So that is the headline that I wanted to bring to you, because it's important to know that if you feel that you cannot catch up, if you feel that you get your Social Security increase and then your Medicare Part B premium takes all of that away, that is also true, because according to this article by the Austin American Statesman, it is saying that Social Security COLA is projected to go up by 2.7%, but then your Medicare Part B premium is projected to go up next year by 11%. And let me show you that right here. So it is saying that, with Medicare Part B, that's the part I've highlighted, is projected to go up by 11.6% for those with the lowest benefit, including children, spouses, SSI recipients. So basically, even the lowest Medicare Part B premium, that is $185 this year, is going to go up by 11%, 11.6% specifically. However, your Social Security cost of living adjustment is projected to go up by 2.7% as of today. If inflation continues to go up, then you are likely to see a lot more increase, but it's still not going to be compared to the 11% that your Medicare Part B premium is going to go up compared to your Social Security. So my point is that in order to, if Congress comes back and they want to focus on legislation that is going to help seniors immediately, then the best thing they can do is to pass the Social Security Expansion Act and increase that to $370. Now, how much do people get in Social Security benefits? Well, here is a window into that. Retired workers are getting approximately $2,000 in terms of if the 2.7% is increase. So this is looking at next year. What are you going to get on average if you get a 2.7% COLA increase? For a retired worker, you're going to get an average of $2,005. Survivor benefits, $1,571 per month. Spouses of retired workers, $953, because spousal benefits usually are lower. Children of retired workers, $924. SSI beneficiaries, individuals, that number is actually not correct. That's $943. And I think and then couples, $1,450. So I think where they said SSI, they probably meant SSDI, because SSI is about $943 per individual. So that is what you can expect based on a 2.7% COLA increase for next year. So that's the first thing I wanted to bring to attention. Now, before I get into the next news, which is that, we got an alert this week that the Social Security solvency keeps creeping up sooner and sooner. So I want to talk to you about that. And I want to talk to you about why they're saying that those who are paying into Social Security now will have to pay an extra $110,000 into Social Security from payroll taxes in order to keep Social Security solvent and to avoid seniors getting a 21% decrease in benefits come a few years down the road. So I'm going to explain that to you and help you understand what that means for you and why Congress needs to act very soon. But before I do that, I have an announcement. I made a big announcement yesterday. We have launched a membership community for seniors. Um, this is on top of what we're doing here. I'm going to still come out live every day and give you the news and updates, but a lot of you have been asking for a community, so we launched one. I announced it yesterday, and it's a membership community for seniors age 55 plus. This is something that has been on my mind for a long time, but we finally found a platform that is easy to use and that supports a lot of the things that we try to do. So it's called the school platform, and it's going to be called the Benefits Insider Circle. And basically, it is to allow me and my team to go beyond what is possible on YouTube. A lot of the stuff we do on YouTube is current news and topics that are right now pressing that seniors want to know about. But there's so many topics that we cannot go deep into, or when we present it here, we don't get the kind of views that we are looking for, given the work that we put in. And so things like maximizing your income, retirement living, money saving ideas, part-time jobs and opportunities for seniors, the best and most updated senior discounts and perks, protecting against scams and fraud, navigating senior living options and housing, health, wellness, and aging resources, caregiver support, and then a place for you to have connection and community. So those are some of the topics we're going to be covering and talking about in the school community. And also, if you're part of this community, every guide that we release in the future, every paid guide that we create is going to be free to you if you're part of this school community. So essentially, we want to help you just unlock every dollar, every discount and advantage that you deserve. So it is up and running now, and we have a special rate for the first 50 members. I'm going to put the link in the comments, and if you're interested, check it out. This is the address: www.school.com/business benefits insider. Now I'm going to put the link in the comments and in the description. So yeah, so this is something that you guys have been asking for. We've created it, and we're looking forward to building a community where you feel supported, you feel heard, and you feel seen, and you are among like-minded people. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to drop that in the comments. Now let's get back to the big news of the day, which is from the perspective of the fact that Social Security insolvency is coming sooner and what is going to be required to fix that. So this is from The Week, and they're saying Social Security insolvency keeps getting closer. So let's read this, and then I'm going to unpack what it means. And then I'm also going to help you understand what is going to be required in order to fix this, essentially. So here we go. So it's saying that a new report has projected that Social Security funds could be depleted by 2033. So this time is running out to avert a Social Security meltdown. The program's trustee warned in a recent report that the Social Security Trust Fund will be exhausted in the first quarter of 2033, 9 months earlier than they projected a year ago, which will point to cuts by 26%. Now, let me address that now. So essentially, what they are saying is that I want to be clear. There's a difference between the Social Security Trust Fund running out of money and Social Security going bankrupt. Social Security Trust Fund is the Social Security piggy bank, or it is a Social Security rainy day fund. So when there are surpluses, when we are in a period where more people are paying into Social Security than are collecting, the surplus is put into this trust fund and invested in government bonds, so that in periods where more people are collecting Social Security than are paying into the system, then we have money to be able to draw from. Well, that has been happening for a while now, and we've been drawing from that rainy day fund. And that rainy day fund is the Social Security Trust Fund, and it's going to run out of money sooner than they thought. And this article is saying that when it does, seniors are going to see a cut up to 26%. That's the highest I have seen. And it's saying that a few factors explain why the coffers are being drained. And here they are. The over 65 population has nearly doubled since 2000. So that is important. The number of people collecting benefits, the over 65 population, has doubled in number since the year 2000. Now, Congress has always known about this and could have prepared for it, but they haven't. And so here we are. We have to deal with it. But it is true that the number of people collecting benefits is at an all-time high. So that's one reason. The second reason is that beneficiaries are living longer. That's a solid reason, because the average person that hits age 65 now will live 6 years longer than they used to before. So if you hit age 65, previously you will live on average 14 more years. Today, if you turn age 65, you are likely to live 20 more years. So not only are more people collecting Social Security benefits, but the number of people living longer has also increased. And the third reason is that fertility rates are declining. So fewer workers are paying into Social Security than are before. So less workers are supporting current retirees. We've known about these trends for decades and could have enacted reforms gradually. Now it's too late. If lawmakers acted today, restoring Social Security's long-term solvency will require a 22% benefit cut for current and future beneficiaries, or an increase in the payroll tax to 16% from the current 12%. But lawmakers won't act. So basically, we are in a conundrum because Congress knows about these issues, but they are not doing anything about it. So my question to you is, what do you think should be done? Now, I know a lot of you have said in the past when I've addressed this issue that Congress has taken money from Social Security and never paid it back, and that is why we are in the situation we are in. That is partially true, but it's not the entire picture. I want to be clear on that. It is true that the government is allowed to borrow money from Social Security and issue IOUs to Social Security, which Social Security has been cashing those IOUs for a while now. But so that's true. But even if the government never borrowed a dime from Social Security, the problems that we face today is still going to be there largely because, as I mentioned, since 2000, the number of people turning 65 and older have doubled. More people are collecting Social Security than ever, and people are living longer than ever. Birth rates has plummeted. So it used to be that five people supported every one retiree. 5 supported one. Now it's about almost 3. It's about 2.7. So we're almost 3 people supporting one retiree now. And Social Security is a pay-as-you-go system. So the people who are working now support the people who are drawing Social Security now. That is how it has always been. That has never changed. Social Security has always been a pay-as-you-go system. People who are working now support people who are drawing. And so when you have less people paying into the system, for whatever reason, declining birth rates, then it's going to put a strain on the system. Then you add that more people are collecting more than ever and people are living longer than ever. You put all those three together and it creates a real crisis. And so let's go to the other article I want to share with you that talks about what is going to take to fix this. And let's see here. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to see this article from Newsweek talking about the fact that Americans face $110,000 earnings loss to prop up Social Security. Now, let me give you some context. Remember, we just read an article that was talking about the fact that the Social Security tax is going to have to go to 16% in order to keep Social Security going at the current rate and pay every retiree what they have earned. So this article just explains further what that would look like. So let's read it together. So it is saying that American workers may need to pay an additional $110,000 in tax to keep Social Security solvent over the next 75 years, researchers have found. Now, so what does this mean? Well, two trust funds help pay Social Security, and those trust funds are facing a challenge. So the problem is that currently, if you make $176,000, you pay Social Security taxes on your benefit or on your income, and that is 6.2%, and up to 176,000. Well, because the money is draining out, there is a gap. And so when combined these schedule run into 2034, if no solution is found, this will result in an automatic 21% cut. So they are saying 21%. The week is saying 26%. I'm sure it's somewhere in the middle, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that the Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank based in Washington, D.C., has found that maintaining benefits at current levels while keeping Social Security trust fund financially stable would require a significant tax increase to American workers. So under the current payroll tax of 12.4%, a median worker entering the workforce in 2025 is projected to pay approximately $374,000 over their 45-year career. So currently, that is what is required to keep Social Security going. Well, however, if Congress were to raise taxes to ensure the program remains solvent for 75 years, they would need to raise the rate to 16%. That is what we read before, as cited in the trustee report. So this is the Social Security trustee coming in and saying that to fix this, the taxes have to be raised to 16%. So it's important to know these are the guys that are managing your money and are coming and saying that the system is running out of money and we're going to have to do this to make it solvent. And so what does that mean? To make Social Security permanently solvent, the required rate will even rise to 17.6%, pushing the lifetime burden to roughly 531,000 or nearly 157,000 more than the current law. So essentially, what they are saying is that to keep Social Security going for the next 75 years, the payroll tax rate will have to go up to 16%. But if we want to make it permanent, if we want to fix Social Security permanently for future generations, then that rate has to go to 17.6%. And it means that the average worker today would have to pay 157,000 more in Social Security taxes in order to keep Social Security alive and permanently solvent. So that is a lot of, a lot of lift. And I don't think Congress, as we know it today, has the courage to do that. I mean, so my speculation is as best as yours. Do you think that Congress is going to do what is necessary to keep Social Security afloat for future generations, including avoiding the cuts that are coming for current recipients that are going to happen in 2033? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section, because this is serious stuff. They have to make changes that, if they are going to do it, they need to do it now so that it's gradual. Maybe they do it over a 6-year period, over an 8-year period. But the point is that if you're going to raise the Social Security payroll tax to 17% from 12, Maybe you do it 1% every year for the next 5 years. Who knows? But let me know your thoughts. Do you think that they have the courage to do it? And if you don't think so, why? Because I'm curious to hear your thoughts about all of that. And it's important to know that Social Security, if nothing is done, will be automatically cut. And I think the politicians are not being honest with you about that. It will be cut if nothing is done. And so the discussions we need to have right now is what needs to be done to avoid that. So let me know your thoughts about it. Now let me go into the comments and see if there's anything that is interesting here that I can address before I move on to the next topic. So Denise is saying this. Let me highlight your comment. Denise, Medicare Part B will be so much higher next year. So are you saying that you think it's going to be higher than the 11.6%? And if so, why do you think that is? Because that is what they're estimating, that right now, as it stands, is going to be about 11.6%. So, Denise, let me know what you're thinking, if I got that correctly. Now, Carlos, let me see if I can answer. How does marriage affect Social Security benefits for women? Great question. So, a couple of things. The first one is that spousal benefits, you know, um, you can get spousal benefits if you are currently married, and at least I think you have to be married for at least a year or close to it. And then at age 62, you can get spousal benefits. But the problem is that if you don't wait till your full retirement age, you are going to. So, first of all, spousal benefits, you are going to get 50% of what, So, we're talking about a man and woman's situation here. So, you asked specifically about women. So, if let's say that a woman is getting spousal benefits off of their husband's record, they can get 50% of their husband's record, what their husband would have gotten at full retirement age. But the woman has to wait until their full retirement age in order to get the entire 50%. So if they claim it early at age 62, for example, which is the earliest you can claim Social Security benefits, then they're going to get a reduced benefit and a permanent reduced benefit. But in any case, you will be asked to apply for Social Security based on your own record, whatever you would have received, and then you get the top off between the difference between, you know, your benefit and what you would have received based on your husband's benefit. Now, if you're divorced, it's a completely different issue. If you're divorced, then you have to have been married to the person for at least 10 years, number one. Number two, you cannot be remarried. And number three, you have to have been divorced for at least 2 years. And then you can claim Social Security based off your ex-husband's record. And again, where you asked me a specific question about women, so I'm using that specific example. Then you can claim benefits off of your ex-husband's record. You don't have to tell your ex-husband that you're applying for Social Security based on their record. That is something that you're entitled to if you meet the three criteria of being married for at least 10 years, have been divorced for at least 2 years, and you're not currently remarried. Now, you just go to the Social Security Administration and tell them that, hey, I qualify for Social Security under my ex-husband's record. These are my papers, my divorce decree, how long we were married, marriage certificate, etc., etc. And then they will process your paperwork for you. So that is, I hope that answers your question. Now, let me see here. Jamila, they have been talking about this while I was still in the workforce, 1983. If you meant Social Security going out of, running out of money, yes, they have been talking about this for a long time. The problem is that they knew, or they've always known, that we're heading to this cliff. And every year we're told that Social Security is going to run out of money based on this estimation, but nothing is done about it. And now it's going to be more painful to do something about it. And so, yes, it is a problem. Um, they should have been working on this for a long time, but they aren't. And so now we are in a situation where we have to deal with it. Otherwise, the cuts are going to be automatic. Now, I want to be clear. If 2023 comes here and nothing is done, there's no money that's going to come out of somewhere to pay the full benefit. They're going to pay what the system can pay, which is how much money is coming from payroll taxes to support people who are taking benefits. So I think a lot of seniors are kind of thinking that something would happen or money will come out of somewhere or the government will pay the money they owe into the system and then everything will be all right. Even if the government pays all the IOUs, it's not going to cover it. The money that's coming in from payroll taxes is going to be enough to pay between, 70 something percent, close to 80% of your benefits. And so that is the reality that everybody's going to have to deal with. Uh, sh- Here's the thing. Didn't Donald Trump's big beautiful bill take off a lot of people's social security, and isn't that going to take care of the social security? No, absolutely not. Um, the numbers are just not that big. The people that were denied social security based on, I mean, Doge, you can go read this for yourself. All the things that Doge said they were going to find, and the millions of people that Doge said were getting social security illegally, that did not pan out. And that is public information. You can research for yourself. So no, that is not going to save social security. That was a drop in the bucket from what they were saying. I mean, remember, Elon Musk said he was going to save $2 trillion from fraud, waste, and abuse. Then he modified it to $500 billion, and then he said it's going to be $100 billion at best. Right now, they are even struggling to prove that he saved $50 billion. So no, that is not save Social Security, and it's not going to. Even if they removed what they thought they were going to do, it did not help. And that is public information you can find for yourself. I am not the one reporting this; it's already out there. So Congress will have to fix this. This is not something that we can nibble at the edges and think is going to fix it. Congress will have to do the big things. And while I'm on it, let me tell you the two big things that Congress can do to fix Social Security. Both are hard to do, but that's what is going to be required. So the first one is what I just talked about. If they increase the Social Security tax rate from 12 to 16 or 17%, it's going to fix the problem for 75 years. So we've bought ourselves some time, right? But that's a tax increase. And you know how that conversation goes every time you tell people that their taxes have to be increased. And especially when you're saying that you have to increase taxes in order to finance Social Security benefit for current retirees. That conversation has to be packaged very well. The second thing, which I think is probably the easiest, which solves the problem even better, is to remove the Social Security earnings cap. So essentially, everybody pays Social Security taxes on all their income. Keep the tax rate at 12.4%. Do not increase the Social Security payroll tax, but just let everybody pay Social Security taxes on all their income. That is going to affect about 6% of the population who are making more than the 176,000 threshold. So that's a much smaller population that's going to be affected than raising taxes on everybody. Because currently, the way the Social Security tax system is set up, actually, people in the middle class and lower income category are paying the burden, are actually taking on the burden because you pay almost all of your income in Social Security taxes law. All of your income is subject to Social Security taxes if you're in the low income category or middle class and you make up to $176,000 as family income. All of that money is subject to Social Security taxes. But somebody that's making like $350,000, they only have to pay Social Security taxes on the first $176,000 as of 2025. And so that is a much, in my opinion, easier solution, and it does the same thing. It fixes Social Security for the long term. So now let me look. Anyone can look at Social Security site and see there is no increase for Socials coming in August. So then will come both on August. Let me see. Okay. I'm just going through the comments trying to see if there's anything that should be answered. All right. So if you have any questions that you want me to answer, put it in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to review them and answer them. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Social Security payment schedule for August 2025. Obviously, some of you already know this, but every month we cover this, and apparently people need this information, so we will continue to do it. So for August 2025, what is your payment schedule and when is the money going to hit your bank account? For SSI recipients, supplemental security income, your payment is on the first of the month unless the first is a holiday or a weekend. And so since August 1st is a Friday, you're going to get your payment on August 1st. Now, there are a couple of people that get their payments on the 3rd. So if you live outside the United States, if you are collecting Social Security before 1997, if your state pays for your Medicare premium, or if you're getting Social Security and SSI, you get your payment on the 3rd. Those payments will also come in on August the 1st because August the 3rd is a Sunday. And so Social Security doesn't pay benefits on a holiday or on a weekend. So both payments on the 1st and the 3rd are going to be on Friday the 1st. For Social Security, retirement benefits, including survivors, spousal benefits, and SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, obviously you are paid on a particular Wednesday of the month depending on your birthday. So if you were born between the 1st and the 10th is the second Wednesday. If you were born between the 11th and the 20th is the third Wednesday. And if you're born between the 21st and the end of the month is the fourth Wednesday. And so in terms of actual dates, August the 13th is the first Social Security payment for August for those born between the 1st and the 10th. August the 20th for those born between the 11th and the 20th, and August the 27th. So it's a little bit late this month, for those who are born between the 21st and the end of the month. Now, SSI recipients are also going to get a second check in August. It is not an additional check, it's just your September payment is going to be paid early because your regular payment is due on September the 1st, but September the 1st happens to be Labor Day. And so Social Security checks are not issued on holidays and weekends. And so SSI recipients, you're going to get two checks in the month of August, on August the 1st for your August payment, and then August the 29th, which is a Friday, for your September payments. Again, it is not a double check, so plan accordingly. So for Social Security retirement benefits, your dates are August the 13th, the 20th, and the 27th. And the average payment for a 62-year-old getting the maximum benefit is $2,831 if you're getting the maximum. If you are retiring at 67 and you're getting the maximum Social Security benefit, you're getting $4,018. And if you're retiring at 70 years old and you're getting the maximum, you are getting $5,108. So that is your Social Security payment schedule for August 2025. Now, the next thing I want to cover with you is about let's see here. So there are retirees. First, I see some questions about the link for the community, the Social Security senior community that we are starting on school. I'm going to post the link. We are also working on a free Facebook group that we're also going to launch in the future. But if you want to be part of this community that I just talked about, I am dropping the link in the chat, and I'm going to also drop it in the comment section below. So let's talk about Social Security overpayment. And this is um, something that was brought up in an article, and it is going to be something that a lot of seniors are going to be concerned with because they are taking 50% of your money. So if you woke up and you realize that your Social Security benefit is missing 50%, here is why. And I'm sharing this article with you, and then we can read through it together. So here we go. All right. So this is from Yahoo Finance, and it says Social Security benefit cuts will hit some retirees in late July. Your benefit be impacted? So here is a summary of that article. Let's get into it. The Social Security Administration under President Trump is getting more aggressive about correcting overpayment errors. Retired workers who have been paid too much will have 50% of their Social Security benefits withheld starting in late July. Beneficiaries who believe a mistake has been made or else cannot afford to make the payments can appeal the decision. So what's this about? Well, remember, Doge is came in and was looking for fraud, abuse, and waste. And one of the things they looked at was Social Security overpayment. The government was owed about $20 billion in overpayment that they hadn't collected. And so this is an effort to try to collect that money. Overpayments happen when you are working before your full retirement age, collecting Social Security, and you exceed a certain income threshold, and Social Security has not reconciled their files to reduce your benefit as required. And then it goes on for months and for years, and then finally they catch up to it, and then they send you a bill, a gigantic bill that you have to deal with. Even if it's their fault, even if they made the mistake, it is still your responsibility. And so this article is talking about what can happen to you. President Trump campaigned on the promise to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse from the government programs. He took immediate action, returning to the White House for a second term, quickly creating Doge and instituting a hiring freeze. Social Security has been working with Doge to cut costs and boost productivity. And changes made to date include 7,000 person reduction in the workforce, the implementation of a modern telephone system with fraud prevention capabilities, and the expansion of the self-service option, and a miscellaneous cost avoidance and efficiency initiatives estimated to save $1 billion this year. So remember when I was telling you, somebody was asking whether Doge and all those cuts could fix Social Security. Well, they're saying some of the changes are even going to just save $1 billion a year. So I'm not saying that's all the change, but it's a drop in the bucket. Social Security pays $1.7 trillion a year. Trillion with a T. So let's continue to read this. So in addition, the Social Security Administration will be more aggressive in future efforts to recover overpayment. Consequently, some retired workers will receive reduced Social Security benefits beginning July. So what is this about? Well, Social Security reduced the overpayment threshold from 100% to 10% under President Biden. The agency then reversed its decision shortly after Trump took office. Initially, they wanted 100%, and now they are at 50%. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if you owe money, they were initially going to take your entire Social Security check and use that to pay what you owe until you paid it all. Now, because of pushback from seniors and a lot of advocacy group and a lot of lawmakers who heard you guys calling and complaining about the new policy, the government backed off, and now went from 50%. So they went from 10% to 100%, and now they're back to 50%. So if you woke up in July and your Social Security check, half of it is gone, your disability check, half of it is gone, it is because you owe Social Security money, and they are going to use your check to pay it off until it's paid off. But you have rights. So let's talk about that. So the first overpayment notices were sent in April. Social Security beneficiaries who received a notice were given 90 days to appeal the decision, but the grace period ends in July. This means some retired workers who have been overpaid by Social Security will have their benefit reduced by 50% starting in July. Benefits will be withheld until the overpayment balance is zero. Importantly, in situations where a person no longer receives the Social Security, the SSA will recover overpayments by garnishing federal income tax or wages. So there are things that they can do to get their money. Now you can appeal. You can appeal the decision if you send your appeal in within 60 days. But if you want your appeal to pause any collection efforts, then you have to send your appeal in within 30 days. And that is an important thing to know. If you received an overpayment letter, they're going to give you a lot of time to respond. But if you appeal within 30 days, it stops them from initiating any collection issue against you. So that is important to know, and I want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. So what is the resolution here? Well, as mentioned, when Social Security determines that beneficiaries have paid too much, the agency notifies the person in writing and allows a certain amount of time, usually 60 days, but notices sent in April gave 90 days to request a reconsideration, lower withholding rate, or a waiver. Those are your options. A reconsideration, a lower withholding rate, or waiver. Those are the things you can appeal. So if you got one of those letters, recipient who don't think they have been overpaid can appeal the decision by requesting a reconsideration, and you have to file a specific form, SSA 561. Recipients who cannot afford the overpayment detailed in the notice can request a lower withholding. So it means you want to go from maybe 50% of your check being taken to maybe 10% or 20%. You have to file form SSA 634. Recipients who cannot afford to repay any portion of the outstanding balance can request a waiver of overpayment by filing form SSA 632. Here's the bottom line. The Social Security is working with those to make good on President Trump's promise to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. The agency will increase the overpayment rate to 50% in July. In other words, those affected will have half of their Social Security check taken until the balance hits zero. So that's what's happening with overpayments. And I got to tell you, it's not going to be pleasant for a lot of people. And so if you get an overpayment, do not wish it away. Do not run away from it. Confront it head on. And as I read to you, you have three options for a reconsideration, reduction of the rate, and a waiver. A waiver means that you are saying you cannot pay even a dime of that bill because it's going to cause you financial stress. And you can write that and fill out the form and hope and pray that they agree with you. They're going to request documentation to back your claim up. Maybe going to request expenses, your monthly expenses, and they already know how much you're getting in Social Security. So what are your expenses? And then they can look at it and see if taking a dime out of your money is going to cause you financial stress. So that is how you deal with overpayment, and that's the overpayment news I wanted to share with you. So essentially, this is what I wanted to cover with you today. And so I'm going to look through and see if there are any questions that you want to agree with or you want to ask. So what about SSA, Jackie? What about SSA? Why can't we have a payment? I'm not sure what you mean. Let me know if you can expand on your question. I'll be happy to answer it. And then how long does it take to get widow's pay after filing? Widows pay this. So this is from Yvonne Norris. Widows pay are pretty fast. Actually, they've streamlined that process for obvious reasons because they don't want to put extra paperwork when you're dealing with grief and a lot of more to deal with. So Social Security has been very good at processing widows pay. So if you have all your documentation lined up and ready, I would say that go make an appointment to your local social security office, go with all the documentation that's required so that you can, you know, get a firm answer on when your payments can start. But that's one of the payments that they process pretty quickly, and they've made that a priority. And even with recent changes, that is still the case. So, uh, Valerie, question here: whose fault? Why these overpayments were made? Well, that is a complicated question. I'm going to try and answer it my best. So there are two reasons why overpayments happen, and then I'm going to tell you whose fault it is. So the first one is if you are working, getting Social Security under your full retirement age, less than 66 or 67 years, depending on when you were born. Um, yes, it's an earnings threshold. So if you go over the 23,000 and change in earnings for the year, your Social Security benefits, for every $2 you go over that limit, you're supposed to be getting $1 less in benefit. So let's say you go over that limit by 5,000 that year, you are supposed to get $2,500 less in Social Security benefits. Now, let's say that that goes on for about 5 years, and all of a sudden is, $25,000 that you've gone over 5 years before Social Security finally catches on. Now that's where the catches on. They are getting information from the IRS. Are you reporting your information correctly? Something went wrong. It may be their fault that they did not collect the right information, or they were too late to process it. But the fact remains that over a couple of years, people find themselves going over that limit and not having their Social Security reduced. So if you are working before your full retirement age, collecting Social Security benefits, when you go over the earnings limit for the year, you need to, if your benefits are not being reduced, you need to contact Social Security and say, hey, you need to fix this because I'm supposed to be getting less money than you're sending me. But a lot of people, obviously, for reasons that you cannot blame them, Social Security is supposed to know better. We all depend on them and say, hey, they are the expert. They're supposed to know what. So when they're sending me money, who am I to say no? Kind of attitude, which can come back and bite you. So you're getting the money, and then 5 years goes by and they don't fix it, and then all of a sudden we're talking about 5,000 each year for 5 years. That's 25,000. It means you owe half of that. So now you owe 17,000. Sorry, $12,500. Well, let's say you're getting $1,500 in Social Security benefits. So $1,500 in Social Security. Now they have to recover 12,500. So 12,500 divided by 1,500. Now 8 months. If they are taking your entire check, it's going to take 8 months. Now if they're taking 50%, now it's going to take 16 months to take half of your check to pay that back. And so whose fault it is depends on who is providing information and who is not processing the information, and who is following up on making sure that their information is processed. And that happens also with disability benefits, where people who are on disability benefits are encouraged to try to work if they can, because the goal is, if you can work, they want you to stop receiving disability benefits. So there is something called the trial work period. And so people, get on the trial work period, and they are supposed to pay attention to a limit, a particular limit called the substantial gainful activity limit. But same reason, there was a 60-minute document, not a 60-minute report, that highlighted this. You should probably go look for it on YouTube and watch it. But the title of it is Social Security, Our Mistake, Your Responsibility. That was the title of it, because that's essentially what it is. And they give examples of people who were even reporting they're on disability benefits. They were getting, making money over the threshold. They were reporting their monthly paycheck to Social Security. And for years, Social Security was not adjusting their disability benefits as they were supposed to. And then they got a bill for $55,000. And they were supposed to pay that in 30 days. And it became a long, drawn out thing. Social Security will send you these threatening letters. They were about to give their entire life savings, which is about $50,000, to Social Security to just get Social Security off their back. Until 60 Minutes got involved, and then finally Social Security backed off. But that was because a news organization got involved. This happens to about 2 to 3 million people every year, and those people who don't have powerful voices to advocate for you then become victim of threatening letters from Social Security, taking half of your Social Security check for a long time before this is resolved. So it is a pretty unfortunate and very, how do I say, I'm trying to find the right word. It is a very mean way to treat seniors and people on disability, to be honest with you, because they're saying that even if they make a mistake, it is your responsibility to catch it and let them know that they've made a mistake. So there was one example where I'll give you even a shocking example. The same 60-minute report. There was a woman who was claiming Social Security benefits, and she had worked whatever 30, 40 years, was retiring, filed her papers, and then started receiving her Social Security benefits. That went on for about 6 years, and then she gets a bill from the Social Security Administration and say, hey, wait a minute. Over the last 6 or 7 years, we have been paying you the wrong Social Security amount. In fact, we've been paying you 3 times more than what you deserve because we made an error in the calculation. But guess what? You should have known that you were not supposed to be getting all that money. And so now we are going to stop your Social Security check completely until we recover all the money we've paid you. And by the way, this is actually in law. This is how the Social Security law is written, that even if they make a mistake, you are responsible and they can come after you and get the money. So they stopped her check for years. For 2 years, she hadn't received any money until 60 Minutes got involved and pushed back and highlighted the fact that Social Security made a mistake. Why should she be punished? But she lost 2 years of her Social Security check. So whose fault is it? Well, sometimes it is the Social Security Administration's fault, but they are allowed to come after you anyway, even if they make a mistake. So, yeah. So that's the way it is. Anyway, I am. That's all I wanted to cover with you today. There's not a lot of questions today, so you guys are pretty quiet today. But I am glad that you spent this Wednesday evening with me. I am looking forward to being back live tomorrow and bringing you more news and updates, anything in and out of Congress that will affect your benefits, and some money saving tips that can help you maximize your retirement. So thank you for hanging out with me. If you have any questions, let me know. If you like what you heard today, please hit the like button, and most importantly, consider subscribing to this channel. We appreciate your help and your support, and forward this to anybody you think needs to hear this, especially the news about COLA, overpayment, and Medicare Part B premiums and all that. So see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.